running. Okay, now.
Wait before we start.
Hmm?
Wait before we start.
Oh, we're not going anywhere. I'll just tell you a little story. I've been catching up on back seasons of Big Bang Theory lately.
Uh-huh.
Because they won't stream them, the assholes. So I've been buying the box sets. So I've watched like 5 seasons in a row.
Right.
For a week. And the other night, Amber and I are sitting on the couch and watching some TV show. Doesn't matter what it was, but we came across this ad for some dating show, like a reality show. It's just one of those fucking stupid ones. And this idiot girl on there says, "It is literally raining men here." And I leaned forward and I'm like, "No, it's figuratively raining men, not literally, you stupid moron." And I lean back and I could feel Amber's look on the side of my head. I look at her and she's like, "You really need to stop watching Big Bang Theory for a while. You're starting to correct the television."
Very nice. It's not going to be easy for me to find. I can feel it already. Okay.
All right.
I actually found it.
All right, go ahead.
Wait.
Okay. So what do you want me to do first, the intro or not?
Yeah, do the intro.
Okay.
Because,
that's mine. What are you doing?
both of these are yours?
Yes. They're two different things. You won't like it.
Well, crap. Now I got to pour me something.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know what you wanted.
That's not one of those.
Did you not bring anything?
No.
Oh, well, then I've got regular rum, that Cannon Blast rum stuff, and then the whiskey, apple pie whiskey, and then some vodka.
We drink all my crap?
Yeah, we did.
Drink it all?
I didn't think to grab anything of your stuff. Usually you show up with something.
I didn't, because I thought that I had stuff here.
Like what stuff?
Any stuff.
No, not really.
What is this?
That's Cannon Blast rum. That's like for shots.
I'm not doing that.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
I guess you're going to go with the rum then. The Blackheart.
Go see if I have a box in upstairs.
I don't think you do, but...
I hate our friends. They drink all my shit.
Guess you're going with the rum. Don't forget a glass.
Star Wars.
There you go. That's what they're there for.
My friends suck.
Hey, I'm on that list.
In this job, you're more my boss.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Makes you worse.
Makes me worse. All right. It is the last Friday of the month, April 29th, 2016. And this is Rum Rants with Rob and Jay. And since I always forget, and it's just Jay and I here right now, we have to start with what we're drinking. Now, I'm trying some new stuff tonight. Jay's not drinking anything special. He's drinking my Blackheart that I usually drink.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any Crown or any whiskey sitting around.
Because one, we had like the Night Owl and...
That's been gone for a while.
Because we didn't... The point is, my friends suck.
Well, there's some vodka there, too. A whole bottle of vodka. Yeah, whatever. It makes us fine with Coke.
Right.
You can't tell. Anyway. But I, on the other hand, am drinking a couple different things. First off, I'm trying brand new stuff tonight. The first thing, it's a Captain Morgan's Cannon Blast, it's called. It comes in a nifty little cannonball-shaped bottle. And this is my first try of it here. Let's give it a shot. It's supposed to be some, like, super spiced rum. Very licoricey.
Okay.
It's good, though. It's very sweet.
All right.
Very sweet. Now, the other thing I'm trying, and I'm kind of going back and forth here a little bit, but I'll stick with one after a while, is the Pie Hole Whiskey. Now, I love the name of that. Pie Hole Whiskey comes in this, Jim Beam, Evan Williams looking bottle like the rest of them. But it's called Pie Hole. It's got a little pinup girl painted on it.
Right.
That's what caught my eye. My wife's really into the pinup art stuff. And this particular one is...
Because your wife, the girl on the bottle, caught your eye.
Yeah.
You can at least say they're both redheads.
Yeah. No, that's not what I meant. But okay, We'll get to that stuff later.
Right.
But no, and this one happens to be apple pie. There's also cherry and something else, but I didn't like the girls on that one much. And I don't like cherry anyway. So I'm going to try this one now. This is a apple pie flavored whiskey. Does not even taste like liquor.
What?
But it is.
Yeah.
So, okay. Lots of sugars for me tonight. So, sir.
All right. So, I recently went to North Carolina.
Yes.
I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this lady read to her 6-year-old. And I'm not really paying attention to what she's saying, but she says in a very profound statement, and kind of loudly, statement-wise, and man did not evolve from monkeys.
Well, not from monkeys. Okay, anyway.
Let me finish this.
Sorry, I'm being Sheldon.
Yes. So, this pipes up my curiosity.
Your little ear went bing.
And it wasn't the statement. Well, it was the statement. But I was like, did you just, like, declare that? I think that was my exact words.
To a child.
Did you declare that? And she's like, well, it's in the book. They wrote that in a book for a 6-year-old? Well, yeah. And then she tells me that this guy wrote the book and then actual, papers and stuff has, declared that the world is, that there were no dinosaurs. And he's scientifically proven this, that the Earth is only about 6,000 years old.
Yeah.
And insert Bill Hicks here.
Yeah, or Lewis Black.
Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
So
Bill Hicks, one of the great philosophers of our time.
Bill Hicks. So she says that, and that bit instantly popped into my head.
Mm-hmm.
And because of him and like a few other comedians, I knew there was a debate out there, but I've never actually heard anybody tell me, 1, man did not evolve from apes, 2, the Earth is only 6,000 years old, and 3, dinosaurs didn't exist. So I perk up my head and I'm like, well, what do you mean dinosaurs don't exist? Because that whole thing just flashed in my head. And she goes, well, they existed. They just weren't as big as, we thought they were. They're more like alligators and other reptiles like that, the size of that. They weren't big, huge, monstrous things. And as I'm formulating my thoughts,
has your brain, one side of your brain's warring with the other.
Time became of the essence and end of discussion, which I didn't know it was the end of the discussion because I want to learn. I've never had an encounter like this. I want to all right, that's
You're like Bill Maher. It's like, I just want to ask the question.
Yeah, I just want to learn something. I've never knew anybody that had this philosophy, and now I have you. And tell me, what is this all about? How do we get there?
I can answer some of this, by the way.
Yes, I can. Yes, you can. Yeah. This is why you're here.
This is why I'm here.
So now that the end of that discussion is done, I've been debating myself for the next 7 to 10 days.
This is just rattling around in your head.
It is. It's been in my head for the last 7 or 10 days. And I asked another person. This person was like, yeah, there was only 6,000 years old, but she believes in dinosaurs. And I'm like,
I know.
I can't get the right questions out of my head to actually have the learning experience, because I'm trying not to create an argument and be an asshole, but I also want to know these things.
That must have been really hard for you.
Now, at the same time that I'm going through this, about 10 days later, I get this on my Facebook page. So we're going to insert.
Okay, is this on our Facebook page now?
Yes.
Okay, so where am I at here? This gal with the paper?
Yes, I just posted this, so...
Okay. Do you want me to play it?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll play it on mine so it's louder.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about fossils that are found in the ground.
She's kind of cute.
So, hang on. Pause this real quick.
Okay, hang on. Hang on. Wait. Gotta find my... There we go. Oh, piffle. There. Okay, go ahead.
So, by the way,
Yeah.
the creationists, I guess,
yeah, that's one of them, yeah.
are winning the argument in my head at this point.
Okay.
So then I get this video.
Then you get this video. So they're winning. That's I'm curious about that after we watch this, so hang on.
What they end up being when everything is said and done. So a fossil is not actually a piece of bone. A fossil is actually a bone that was once in the ground that has been then filled with limestone, calcium, and other kind of stone-like deposits over the course of many, many years. And at the end of the day, it ends up looking like a bone, but it's not really a bone. It's really a rock inside of rock. So you have a rock this big, and you say, okay, inside this rock this big, there's a bunch of fossils. Here you go. And you hand the rock off to a paleontologist, and the paleontologist takes a little mallet and they chip away at it, and at some point they come out with something looking like a bone, and that's a fossil. So here's the question that I pose. Now, the first fossil that was ever found was actually after they
Her tits
came
are
up with the
huge.
idea of a dinosaur. Right? That seems a little bit far-fetched, right? Why would the bone that was found or the fossil that was found actually be the exact same thing as what was originally hypothesized without any other evidence? It doesn't make any sense. So now I give to you. Here, you're my paleontologist. Turn that into what it was before I ripped it apart. Here. You can have some spackle too. As much spackle as you want. Here, turn this into what it's supposed to be. Alright. Who knows what you're going to come up with, right? Now, here, take this same substance, this same spackle, and by the way, it's supposed to be this little guy, Brachiosaurus, who's 40 meters tall. This is what he looks like. This is what the head was supposed to look like. This is a Brachiosaurus skull. Make me a Brachiosaurus skull. With that and as much spackle as you please. Chances are, what are you going to come up with? If you want to keep your job, you come up with a Brachiosaurus skull. If you want to be truthful, you come up with whatever it was that I smashed apart to get this stuff. When millions of dollars are on the line, which one are you going to do?
Mike.
All
All
right.
right.
I guess is you're
Science
going
is
to go
there.
with Brachiosaurus.
Science is good.
That's what mine is.
Okay.
It's there.
All right.
It's there.
All right.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
It's there.
Insightful for
Bone
what happens
mixed
when
with
you
the
deal
calcium, the
with
zinc, and other minerals.
It's replaced, yeah.
The science is there.
That
All right.
part.
So far, we're going with fact. Then she goes off onto the conspiracy theory
Is
about.
this coming up? Oh, no. Oh, I see. Never mind. Sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
So-
too busy looking at her boobs.
Yeah, I know. So she comes up with a conspiracy theory saying that, dinosaurs were invented before we found the first bones, and archaeologists, paleontologists were paid so much money, they just put one together and said, hey, here you go, so they didn't lose their jobs. Now, I'm thinking conspiracy theory, I'm going to give you that. I'm with you on the science. You have a conspiracy theory, but there's something else coming up. And then she did the jar with the clay in it.
The clan and pours it on the table.
Pours it on the table and says, put this back together. And the first thing in my head was paper shredder forensic scientist. Now I'm back.
FBI.
Now I'm back on the science part.
Yep.
I'm back to where I started because her argument was invalid because of current science that we have today.
That is true.
And that's just basically putting together a puzzle. We've been doing that even before forensic scientists were forensic scientists.
I'm missing a piece of the sky.
But yeah, I mean, you could put that together so much to where there's going to be holes in it. You're not
Yeah.
going to fill in every dust, but that's what the spackle's for. And that's kind of what they did to fill in the dinosaur bones and everything else. I'm like, so you kind of just disproved your theory.
A little bit, yeah.
So this has been going on in my head for like a month and a half now, which has raised 1,000 other questions.
Right.
There's some of the obvious, like Adam lived to be 950 years old.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
How did that happen? God's plan versus freedom of will type of things. Just
Well, that's philosophy, but okay. Okay, go on.
but
Sorry.
to me, when it comes to, and I don't want to say I believe, I love learning things, so I don't have one way or the other of what I believe, because I even think the science, whether it says it's 14,000 years old or 14 trillion years old, it's still just theory. I mean, we really don't know because we can only date back to maybe the Mayans or so far back anyway.
Well, recorded history is limited. That's
Exactly.
true.
And that's kind of,
And even that's subject to...
and that's kind of
wrote
what
it.
I'm going by. Yeah. And all right, depending on how you look at the Bible, do you look at it like it's all theology or there's some history to it, like an actual history book. Because, I mean, even history textbooks are, skewed of one way, of one view.
Who won the war?
Yeah. Or, Japan even says that they won the war. It's kind of weird. They used to teach that.
I would say something, but it'd be really racist and mean.
But
okay,
so and as many times as the Bible was translated, they're going to skew it one way or the other.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
I get all that, but there's still got to be some sort of history behind that, even if it was recorded, not recorded, storytelling, and stories change. Kind of like the, that's how the cavemen or whoever didn't do it. And then of course we have the evolution of man. We're not from monkeys, and part of that is like you put that with God's plan, and I'm like, the evolution of man, we started fire, and now I don't think in God's plan that he really planned for cell phones and whatever. But it's just a lot of questions have been raised by this whole thing that I never really thought about. Dinosaurs did not exist,
because your little person in your brain's going, but what?
Yeah. So that's been what I've been doing the last month.
Okay. So are we to continue her video, or are we going to respond?
She's
pretty much done.
She just keeps going on.
She just keeps ranting. In fact, just to be clear, this is literally labeled "Dinosaurs Are Fake," posted by a pseudoscience enthusiast. Literally pseudoscience enthusiast.
And for the record, when I was in college, I took a pseudoscience class. I took a history of religions class, which was interesting. It was
always interesting. Yeah,
it was more how religions came about, not of the religion.
All of them, not just Western philosophy.
So like, this king believed this and this king believed that.
Now, before I do respond, though, there is something. Somebody put a comment on here already. A gentleman by the name of Tony Parisi. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Says, I wish her hands would stop getting in the way of her necklaces. So apparently I wasn't the only one thinking this. I'm sure that's where the money is.
Yeah.
So you know what? God bless you, Tony. Thank you very much for putting that comment on there. That just made my day. So now I will respond. First, I will say what my very limited credentials are. First off, I come from 3 different households in my childhood. I was raised secular by my mother and stepfather. I was raised Adventist by my father and his parents, and I was raised evangelist by my mother's parents. Okay, so I literally grew up in 3 different points of view. I'm glad that's the case, because it enabled me to start asking questions like, wait a minute, whoa, hold on. Yeah. My other partial credential is I was a history minor in college the first couple of years, so I have taken biological anthropology, I've taken ancient civilizations, I've taken religious history, both secular and religious. I graduated from a Christian high school, technically, an Adventist high school, but I didn't really learn much. But that being said, now I'm going to try to remember most of the things you brought up. First, let's start with the age of the Earth.
Right.
I've heard 4,000, I've heard 6,000. Bill Hicks was just saying 12,000. Adding it from Adam, yes, that is the addition I heard as well. That's the whole, this begat that and that begat that. There's a lot of fucking begatting going on in the Bible. But I will address one thing first. The whole Adam was 900 years old thing. I brought that up as a child. Now, I forgot to mention, my father, for a period of time, was an Adventist minister. Ordained, went to theology school, Adventist, went to seminary, Adventist minister. He is not anymore. He's an MD now, and he's not really religious at all. He and I both kind of came to the same epiphany, like, this is bullshit, and that's opinion, by the way. So, that being said, that was one of the first questions I asked, is that how is that possible? And most of the answers I got was, well, that's just, they lived longer back then. They lived longer. They were closer to God. They were closer to the original template. Like, we're a bunch of copies that kept losing degradation as generations went on.
And wouldn't that be part of evolution?
That would be. Yes.
I know.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But let me finish this for a second, though. However, somebody on the more secular side postulated, I don't remember who it was when I was a child, and said, well, some ancient cultures don't count the years like we do.
Right.
Some count the seasons.
And that's I actually came to that.
And not just winter to winter, but winter's 1 year, spring's another year. And so at an age of 60 or 70 years old, which would be a long time for back then, but still possible, you could end up with a couple hundred in the count. So that kind of makes sense. That makes sense in terms of an explanation, not that it makes sense in terms of reality.
Right.
Your phone's making noises. Now, in terms of the God's will thing, I kind of skip past that because there is the whole argument. I mean, George Carlin had made an excellent... You know what? Go listen to George Carlin. Any of his stuff about God, that's pretty much my point when it comes to God's will. What's the difference? You know, why don't you just accept everything as God's will? Why do you have to try doing anything? Okay, now I will address, though, the Bible being literal translation or being an allegorical metaphor. Compare it to one of its older not contemporaries even, one of its older, like, almost prehistory. And you've read this many times. The Iliad and the Odyssey.
Two of my favorite books.
Those were the Bible of that time. They were a tome to address how a person should act, how they should respond to stimuli from the outside, how they should conduct themselves. And that's what the Bible is as well. Now, I think the Bible has a lot of clues to actual historical events, which is a lot of times historians will start there and then try to gather facts from that point forward. However, a lot of it is metaphor, a lot of it is allegory, a lot of it is just plain bullshit. At one period of time, and I do not remember when, please somebody point this out to me and I won't remember, but sometime between the Classic Age and the Middle Ages, there was something called the Ecumenical Council, and they got together sometime in, I don't know, somewhere in the North Africa, Middle East, somewhere, I don't remember where it was, one of the Orthodox churches, and they decided what was going in the Bible and what wasn't. And there are books, including something called the Dead Sea Scrolls. Anybody look that up if they want to. My dad could read these in the original, I think, Hebrew, if I remember correctly, that are completely left out of the Bible. And there's other ones, too, they found, that are just as valid as anything that's in the Bible, written by the same people or contemporaries of the same people as in the Bible. And they were X'd out. They were, in people terms, excommunicated from the Bible by this ecumenical council, which is also politics, also very much about politics. So that brings into the Bible is suspect to interpretation. Mm-hmm. Then you mentioned the translations. The biggest one, granted, it was in Latin, Hebrew, Greek. It went through all these things, and then through all these hundreds of years, finally gets to England and is translated into the King James from God knows what. Probably the Latin. It was probably translated from Latin because during the Middle Ages, only the clergy and some of the royalty could read. No one else could read. And so people went to the church for their education. So they were fed all kinds of ridiculous shit. So that's why churches were so powerful, and still even to this day they kind of are. And I'm not going to debate whether they're right or not. I'm just saying they're powerful. So finally, when the Reformation happened, Martin Luther did his whole letter on the door of the church with a knife saying, this is what's fucked up with the Catholic Church. People were buying their way into heaven kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And buying for their relatives after they died for their way into heaven, just a way for the church to get more money. Right. It was just ridiculous. And then at the same time, Henry wanted to fuck somebody else, Henry VIII. Right. So he joined with that Reformation and was like, okay, guess what? We're going to start our own church. It's now, was it Lutheranism mm-hmm. or whatever, or the Church of England. And he just rewrote the rules and then translated the Bible into English, and people had more opportunity to read it. Through all those many translations, have you ever played the monkey game or the phone game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and
through a room of 10 people, your shit gets fucking turned around. Try 10 generations. Try 10,000 years. Right. What do you think is going to happen? So I'll leave that alone in terms of what's going on. So I got to the King James, got the Ecumenical Council, got the Adam 900 years. And I will agree with you. The first thing that played in my head when you told me this stuff, you went straight to Bill Hicks.
Right.
I went straight to Lewis Black. Because Lewis Black makes this crack about Judaism, and there are Jews out there among you that would be happy to translate the Bible for you and tell you what it means and that it's a metaphor and all this kind of stuff. He says, anytime somebody comes at me with this ridiculous, it's literal, I just pick up a rock and I show it to them, I say, fossil. And then if they don't get it, I throw it over their head. So that's the same argument. Right. It's almost exactly what Bill said. And of course, again, George Carlin said pretty much what I feel. And also, by the way, a recommendation, watch Religulous by Bill Maher. It's a documentary about Western religion, about the history. All he does is walk around and drive around and fly around and ask questions, and people get pissed. That's all he does. He doesn't make any judgments. He doesn't make any conclusions. All he says is, okay, well, this person told me this, so what is it? Or he'll say, so you're not gay anymore because God is helping you not be gay. And he corners all these people in these ridiculous holes in their argument. So
yeah, but that's an act. I mean, when
it is a bit.
When you say, this person told me this, you're not asking, to me, this person tells me this, you're saying this, why should I believe you over him? That's argumentative. I don't want to be argumentative.
Maybe I'm putting my own spin on that. I don't think he actually did that in the show. I think he's better at it than I am.
Right.
I will say that.
Because I'd be like,
please watch it if you haven't.
Okay.
I really would recommend it, because that whole movie is my indictment of any religion, not just Western or Christian. But anyway, so The whole bone thing, you're absolutely correct. The bones are there. They're covered in sediment. All the organic stuff is, all the organic stuff is eaten away or rotted away. And after a while, it's called petrification, which she didn't mention in that whole rant. I didn't hear the word petrified. I might have heard it once. I don't know.
No, she didn't say it.
But it's petrification, and it happens to wood. It happens to anything organic. And once something's buried in the sediment for so long, eventually the calcium and all the things that make it organic are replaced by things that are stone. So that's limestone,
right.
Calcification, all that stuff. But archaeologists know, or paleontologists know, that when they find these things, that the bone... The bone that has become stone and the surrounding stone are different color, different texture, different density. There's all these different things, so they can actually trace out what it is. Now, I was waiting for her. The argument I was waiting for her to make that she didn't make, and I'm surprised she didn't, or maybe I missed it, was that as this process happens, perhaps the bone gets bigger, and that would explain what you said about, hey, there used to be lizard size and now they're brontosaurus size. I was waiting for that argument. And that never happened. So I was like, okay, you missed an opportunity to fling some bullshit here, but anyway, I'll move on. So anyway, those things happen.
Don't move on. Keep
well,
going.
no, I'm just saying that those things do occur to bone, and it's just like taking a puzzle apart. If you break this thing into so many pieces, like her little analogy, she says, put it back together and make it look like the way it looked like. Guess what it looked like? It looked like a fucking brick. Okay, I can do that. But did it look like this other creature? And there were mistakes made in the early or late 1800s, early 1900s. This is a relatively new science. Paleontology is only about 150 years old. And I'll get into dragons here in a minute, but legends of dragons. But paleontology is only a few hundred years old or less, and they made a lot of mistakes at first. They put wrong bones together, they put the wrong head on something, and they figured that out as time has gone on. There's even some speculation that the T-Rex skeleton is wrong, like the head is completely wrong to what the body should be. And that does happen, but they figure that out eventually. It's trial and error. It's not. I hate to use the word exact science. It's not. It's a puzzle to put together, just like you said. Now, however, mathematics determines if you have a bone that is it's even a little tiny one. Say it's a bone of a little critter, and it's a couple centimeters to an inch long, and you have another bone that's of the same type of stone that's inside. It carbon dates at the same level, or whatever it is, whatever makes it the same as that one, but it's a lot smaller. You can figure out by math where the missing pieces are, and you can put that together. And a lot of bones, if you go to museums and see a lot of these bones put together, you'll see gaps, and those gaps are filled with plaster. It's very analogous to what Michael Crichton said in Jurassic Park. There were gaps in the DNA sequence, and we had to shove something in there, so here's some frog DNA, and it's a similar concept. And I bet you anything, I mean, this is a guess, of course, but I would bet that Crichton was at a museum one day when he was a kid and was like, how come that part of the dinosaur is white and the other part's all yellow? He's like, oh, that's a piece of plaster. We had to fill it in.
Right.
I wonder what that would make a good book. I could see that happening. So there were mistakes made. So she takes parts of things that are understandable and parts of things that are true and completely skews it in an erroneous conclusion. Right. She takes certain facts, manipulates them to meet her own ends, which we see lots of people doing.
Which we all do.
We all do. And then spits out a conclusion that is completely erroneous. Right. It's circumstantial at best.
Like I said, she had me all the way through the conspiracy theory, and then she did that, and I'm like,
you know, there are museums out there. There are literal museums out there that depict. Now, back to the dinosaur thing, where they were saying dinosaurs didn't exist, and some say they did, but they were like smaller, alligator size. There's another set out there that says they coexisted together, like Jurassic Park style. And there are actual museums out there teaching children that humans, Homo sapiens, not Homo erectus, not Lucy, the oldest humanist we know. They literally lived together like they were in the fucking Flintstones. And I'm just picturing like this pterodactyl when they're washing dishes going, well, it's a living. You know? What the fuck? Hey, Bon!
Well, and that's just it. Is it, you know, if the Earth is only 6,000 years old and we can trace back the Mayans or whatever the oldest civilization is.
Probably like Babylon or something like that. Yeah.
Isn't that only like 1,400 years before Christ, BC, like 1400 BC.
We only can go back now, granted, this is partial information. I'm probably wrong, but I'd say max 5,000 years before Christ. We can go back to documented, written down things. Right. The oldest story that I'm aware of fictional story or metaphorical story is the Epic of Gilgamesh, if I remember correctly. And it is way before. Now, here's the other thing that'll fucking bake your noodle. There's a flood in there. There are other religions like Apollo, I think, and other ones that were Immaculate Conception. Bill Maher goes into a lot of this stuff. We've already talked before about December 27th is not Christmas.
Right.
Jesus was born sometime in
December
the spring.
25th, by the way.
25th, yeah, sorry. Damn, that's fucking good rum. I don't pay attention to Christmas anyway. But anyway, December 25th is not really Christmas. They combined them during the times of Romans.
That's all the pagan holidays.
Yeah, the pagans, basically the Roman folks got mad at the pagans and the Christians for fighting all the time because Constantine had said, okay, it's okay to be a Christian now. So he legalized it. He didn't make it the national religion, but he legalized it. People say he did, and that's wrong.
Same with Halloween and Easter.
They all got merged. The Vikings merged with the Northern English, and they became the Saxons and shit. You know, I don't remember the exact things, but all of that stuff's gotten meddled together. The pagan gods from, like, say, the Druids got turned into saints in the Catholicism, and it's all mixed up. All of it's mixed up. And if you guys, please, take an accredited university-level history course, history of world civilizations course, biological anthropology. In bioanthropology, people bitch about the missing link. Yes, there are missing links because there's gaps in the fossil record, but there's no missing link that people point to and go, well, that's the thing that proves that apes and man are the same. Bullshit. And there's the other problem with what she said. Right. We didn't evolve from apes. We are apes. Ugh. We are apes. Apes and us evolved from the same progenitor. Right. So basically, a critter was moving along at some point and it split. And one became gorillas. This is oversimplification, of course. But one became gorillas, one became chimps, one became us, and blah, blah, blah. Now, if you go back into like a lot of the History Channel stuff or a lot of the paleontology stuff, there were tons of apes. Not just the few that are around now. There was different breeds of all these different apes. And then even further, thousands of years after that, you've got the whole caveman, quote unquote, I'm air quoting here, the whole Neanderthal versus Homo sapien existing at the same time. And the whole fight is, did we kill them or breed them out? I think we fucked them to death. That's just what I think, because people are screwed up. But I think we bred them out, frankly, for the most part. Because we were close enough genetically where it was possible. Because they've done the whole human genome projects in the 70s.
Did so much fucking that blonde hair and blue eyes became dark hair and dark skin.
That's right.
That line is from True Romance.
Yes.
It's a great movie.
Excellent film. So yes, I'm with you on this. I would have reacted the same way. I have a bit more background than you do, but your conclusions are not wrong. Not in my opinion.
I don't think there's any conclusion that's wrong.
I think there are. There are definite conclusions that are wrong.
No, because I would never.
No, you're paying politics. You're being nice.
No, I'm not being nice.
Okay.
I love the fact that people believe what they want to believe. I mean, all of our biggest, bloodiest wars were fight over religion.
As long as they wouldn't force me to believe it, I'm fine with that too.
Right. But, I mean, whether you read a history book about World War II in America or you read a history book about World War II from Germany or Japan, there are going to be differences. And it's the way you interpret it. And that's what I like to learn is the different interpretations. Believe what you want. Just, I'm not going to argue or anything. Just tell me how you got there. Why?
That's a lot of times they can't handle, though. When you ask them why, they get all defensive and pissy. Faith. Faith is the answer to everything.
No. Not why. The how did you get here? How did your religion start? And they don't teach that kind of stuff.
Because they don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's all a bastardization of earlier beliefs, all of it.
So how did you get there? How did you come up with this? And, and a lot of it is that, well, that's what I was taught. And but they had to give you a basis for that, right? A lot. You're right. A lot. Well,
yeah.
And that's always the question that bothers me is about religion is they won't teach you what civilization or what village you assaulted and annihilated for yours to be the predominant one. Or
in a modern analogy, it's similar to, we're not in anymore, okay? But we did serve under Bush Jr. Both of us did.
Yep.
And during that period of time, it was not okay to question.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. It was not okay. You were a seditionist. You were anti-American, apolitical, or whatever. Anybody who questioned, and that's been my observation growing up in a couple different religions. You don't question.
Right.
Fuck you, I'm going to question. So, too bad. Anyway, so now we had the longest religious discussion we've had in here, I think.
Yeah, so that's been my month.
That's been your month. That's what you've been pondering for the last month, and you knew I would go off about it for half an hour.
I did. I thought you'd enjoy both of those.
And yeah, I try to avoid religion and politics in this show, but of course you keep dragging both those subjects up.
Well, I think we should start with those, before we get too inebriated.
That's a good point.
And really truly say what we think when we're drunk.
On that note, and here's an example of why that wouldn't work, and you're absolutely right. On that note, there's a part of in fact, I've got a disc for you. There are 2 parts of last month's recording that I did not use. The first part is because it's about your family. It's you and Stan. I've got a disc for you. And I think your kids may want to have that in the future because it's a cute conversation between you and him and your family. And anybody who knows you guys and your families, totally funny. But anybody who doesn't is going to be like, what the fuck? Why are we listening to this? The second thing that I did not record for you and I've erased is that horrible conversation. And you actually came down, and I wish I could have kept this one part. We went outside. Stan went to the bathroom. We're talking about cousin Steve Stan, by the way. He was here with us last month recording. Very knowledgeable about comic books. Beats me out of the water, like hands down.
Yeah.
But man, he and I got tanked, and he was really tanked, and I was pretty bad. And you just kept tagging us on, like poking at us. And at one point toward the end of the evening, Stan is 3 sheets to the wind. I'm about 2 sheets. And you sit down and go, we can't use any of this shit. It's like, I know, let's just see what happens. And sure enough, Stan and I start talking about a particular storyline. In this case, and I won't get into the details, in this case, it was the Blackest Night story from Green Lantern and the Yellow Lanterns and all that stuff. And I was trying to explain it. He couldn't even explain his own name at that point. I was trying to explain. I still sounded okay, but my train of thought was completely off. And you kept poking at us going, well, what? You were doing the same thing. Why? Why? What happened here? Just tell me. Just focus. What happened here? People can't see you. What are you doing? Why are you flipping me off for? It was shit like that. And it wasn't funny. It was funny because of the way I'm telling it,
right.
But it was like, oh God, nobody's going to want to listen to this. But on that note, I have 2 of them. Here's one. I recorded the conversation between you and Stan about your families. So I've got a disc for him and a disc for you because Brittany and his kids are going to want that someday.
Right.
It's a pretty cute conversation. While we're in this mode, let's get the one depressing thing out of the way right now.
Right.
We lost Prince.
That's true.
This last week. And normally, when it comes to David Bowie and Alan Rickman, I put a video together and whatnot, but frankly, you cannot find videos of Prince on YouTube. I mean, some of his live stuff, but you just can't find shots of Purple Rain, or most of the music you find isn't the video itself. It's just like a karaoke version or something. He was really tight about keeping his shit
He
off.
was.
And which I respect. The only thing I really could find are 2 things, and these are the 2 things I would recommend. It would give you both sides of how people kind of saw Prince from a comedic point of view. The first one is Kevin Smith. Back in 2008, Kevin Smith was doing college tours, and he has this, I think, a very funny but not exactly flattering story about Prince. What?
Oh, go ahead.
Not exactly flattering story about Prince. They did a project together. Kevin was kind of not roped into it. He was just kind of didn't know what Prince wanted, and it turned out to be kind of a mess. But that project never finished. It never got published because apparently Prince does that. He does these weird movies or videos that never see the light of day, which now that after he's passed, I'm curious. But that's about a half-hour long story, and that's on YouTube. You can find that. It is funny, but it's about a half-hour long. A much shorter and sweeter version, though, is a story that Jimmy Fallon told right after Prince passed.
I was going to bring that up.
The ping pong one?
No.
I watched the SNL show.
Okay,
that's a good one too. Go to Hulu, go to YouTube, and watch the SNL tribute to Prince. But on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show, he and Questlove told a story about one time when Prince challenged Jimmy to ping pong. And it's just funny as hell seeing him and Quest tell the story because it makes Prince out to be such a pimp. It's just hilarious. And I'm not even going to try to do the jokes. Go and maybe we'll watch it later. But go to YouTube. 3 things. Go look up the SNL tribute, which is cute. It does some of his performances that he did on SNL. None of them were songs you'd even know.
Well, did he tell this?
He told the Let's Go Crazy story when he came to the party at the 40th anniversary.
Yeah,
that's a good story too.
Okay.
He told that one, and he did a video. They have a video of that one,
right?
Of him singing "Let's Go Crazy." And it's so cool because you got Chris Rock standing there, you got Jimmy Fallon standing there, Maya Rudolph, you got Dan Aykroyd. They're all just partying and having a good old time, and Prince is just playing and playing, and then he just stops and leaves. Apparently, that's what he does, and that's a cute story too. So that one and the other Jimmy on Tonight Show, and him and Questlove, and he plays ping pong against his depiction of Prince is just amazing. Now, Prince was important to me as a child in a similar way, not the same level, but a similar way that Michael Jackson was. It's that debate that Chris Rock joked about years ago. Who was better, Michael Jackson or Prince? That was our debate as kids. Purple Rain and the Thriller album, back and forth. in my little goofy little town. And fuck you guys. I'll bleep that part out. We argued about what was better, Purple Rain or Thriller. And for me, Michael Jackson was more longevity in terms of my mind. But Prince totally cannot be ignored for his contribution, at least up there with David Bowie. But I wasn't as emotionally connected to him. My wife, on the other hand, she reacted to Prince's passing worse than I reacted to Leonard Nimoy's.
Wow.
It was bad. And Prince was a very large part of her childhood, and her sister, and they would make up dances and make their own music videos and listen to Prince constantly. Purple Rain's one of her favorite movies ever, and I agree, it's an awesome flick. But when I knew Prince had passed, I was at the gym, and of course I always get my news at the gym because I never fucking check the news for nothing because I hate it. And eventually I'll get on the treadmill, I'll put my earphones in, I'll open my eyes involuntarily, and I'll see a big tag, Prince dead. I'm like, shit. So I didn't want to know that. So yeah, I get home, sure enough, and she's bawling her eyes out. But she got through it pretty much as similar to what I did with Leonard. So I understood, and so that's my little bit on Prince. I don't really have anything else. What was your take on the whole thing?
So I grew up, in the 80s.
We know.
I'd really like to say 90s or 2000s.
No. Jay and I are only about, 8 months apart, something like that?
Yeah. And I didn't really get into Prince. I appreciated it, like when he had a good song or whatever, and like if he came on the radio, that was all cool. So it was weird to me that I always knew, like, when you saw him somewhere on TV or whatever, it was special.
Yeah.
Because he rarely did anything. Like
even more than Michael. Yeah. Very reclusive.
So it was like, he's coming out. So it didn't really faze me, like, the day of. And then the next morning I woke up, and I'm out on my balcony, and I'm listening to this story about, his performance in 2007 Super Bowl. So I pull that up and I watch it. And for some reason, a guy who's never really owned any Prince albums or songs or whatever, I got teary-eyed. I'm like, what the hell? In my head. But it's because I knew he was that special of an artist, and no matter where he was, he always kind of influenced things. So just knowing what he meant to everyone, it was weird. Now, here's the coolest thing about that. I know the whole 2007 Super Bowl is probably, you probably heard this story a million times, but it was downpouring, raining.
Yeah.
The dancers were spot on. He was spot on and singing Purple Rain.
They're drenched. Yeah.
But here's the most impressive thing. He was singing Foo Fighters songs.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah. He was covering Foo Fighters songs.
I think I saw it the time it aired, but I don't remember anything.
I'm like, what superstar covers another band who's not even there, because Prince just did the performance by himself, not even there, just decides to cover randomly Foo Fighters songs. I'm like,
now I can see Foo Fighters covering a Prince song,
right? But
the other way around is kind of weird.
Not at a Super Bowl performance.
Yeah, that's true.
When you're on stage, and the whole point is to promote yourself or
whoever else is there with you.
Yeah.
But
this guy just randomly does Foo Fighters songs. Like,
which one did he do? I forget.
Crap. Which one did he do? I can't remember.
Hero's the only one I can remember, really. Foo Fighters.
Yeah, it wasn't Hero.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
But it was just, and that is why Prince was Prince. It's because he'll just, where did this come from? But it rocks, and everybody loves it. You know, and I thought that's what made him special, is because just kind of the random things that he did was just always awesome. And then you also got to remember that he did different things all the time, such as the Batman theme song.
Oh, I was gonna get to that.
I knew I wanted to beat you so hard. Like
Bat
Dance. Like that's pretty. You kind of just like, but that is Prince, because he was always how many songs he wrote for other artists.
A ton. Yeah, there's a bunch out there people don't even know about.
I think the biggest one is that Sinead O'Connor one, but there's still hundreds of others. And it's just, for some reason, not anywhere near a Prince fan, still got teary-eyed the next morning when it hit me and actually saw a performance of his.
Another video I forgot to mention that people should look up, it is on YouTube. It's the Howard Stern's birthday party, and Adam Levine. Is right after Prince died. Adam Levine got up there and did Purple Rain. I kind of dig Maroon 5, and I really like Adam on the voice, but I didn't know that guy could play guitar like that.
Yeah.
It was an amazing performance, and it was just like Prince, and Prince could play the hell out of a fucking guitar. And that and of course part of the anniversary or the tribute on SNL was Fred Armisen's Prince show, which it was always funny. Did you see the rest of that special?
No.
The last 20 minutes was just Fred Armisen doing his Prince show on SNL. It was just bits from there, and it was just so damn funny because he does it so well, because it's such a caricature of Prince, but it's still not insulting. It's really funny. But so yeah, if you get a chance to look that up too.
Thank you for listening to Rum Rants with Rob and Jay on Sterling Broadcasting. These morons can be reached on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and at rumrants@outlook.com. All copyrighted materials are used for review and discussion purposes only. No copyright infringement is intended by members of the Rum Rants podcast or Sterling Broadcasting. Thank you.